Greetings, citizens, and thanks for tuning in to Nindie Nation episode 93. I'm Jeff, and if this is your first time here, welcome. Nindie Nation is your one-stop weekly shop for everything independently developed for the Nintendo Switch. This week we've got 25 new releases hitting the eShop between November 28th and December 4th, and before our half hour or so is up, we'll also run through the best eShop deals of the week so you can find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced. New episodes of Nindie Nation post to YouTube on Tuesday alongside the podcast feed hosted by our friends at the Nintendo Village. On Fridays, we have a 5-minute or less video covering the weekend's best deals, and Thursdays are reserved for the Nindies at Night stream. To keep up with the schedule or just chat about video games, follow us on Twitter at Nindie Nation. Before we jump into the week's new Nindies, we first need to look back, because there's always a few stragglers that release in between episodes. So to kick off episode 93 of Nindie Nation, let's start by checking out the 6 neglected Nindies released since episode 92. First up, we've got Electro by Sylvester Osick and Ultimate Games, and oh boy, is there a lot going on here. It's a racing game that looks like driving in GTA 3, which isn't a compliment, but everything has a neon Tron aesthetic. There's weapons and items that look like Mario Kart, and there's little colored strips on the road that give you a boost or repair to your car, just like in F-Zero. The story is about how cool the world would be if the Soviet Eastern Bloc had never fallen, even going so far as to say it has become a, quote,
center of eternal wealth and progress.
You can't make this shit up. Electro Ride is $12 and is available now. If you search for our next game on Google, you'll be treated to a slew of links for 60s-themed Americana restaurants because the 2D action platformer by Restless Corp is called Johnny Rocket. It has a black and white, almost early Flash game style to it that, combined with very general impressions, gives me a Gunman Clive vibe, which is good, but I'm not confident the quality is there with Johnny Rocket. It's only $5, so if you want to see it on the next Nindies at Night or hear more on a future episode, let me know on Twitter at Nindie Nation. The team at Minimal Games says Dungeon Solver is
a minimalist game based on games like chess and table RPG.
Well, they're certainly not exaggerating with the whole minimalist thing. Qbyte dropped this one with a 50% discount for $1.99, and even that seems pricey. The next 3 games really probably shouldn't be considered under any circumstance. These are this week's Nindie No-Nos, and speaking of pricey, Raylight Games, Egg Code, and Toplitz Productions, 3 names I have no confidence in, released a $30 game called Mad Tower Tycoon that looks like a ripoff of a bad time-wasting mobile management game. And it's got some freaky-looking characters. Yellow Dot released Let's Cook Together, which is just overcooked for $20, and Ragdoll Fighter looks like a Flash game that was turned into a free-to-play mobile game that failed and then somehow, by way of Piotr Skolsky, ended up on the Switch for $1.99. He even describes the game as having
simple, beautiful graphics.
If you're seeing this game right now, you know why that's a problem. Look at it this way. After Black Friday, it's probably good we saved a bit of money from that list, but don't rest easy yet, citizens, because we've got a surprisingly solid list of indies dropping this week. So let's take a look at why I think No Wallet is safe from the 25 new release Nindies hitting the Switch from November 29th through December 4th. On November 29th, Purple Tree Studio and Zordix release a game that can't seem to decide exactly what it is with Ponpu for $14.99. It claims to be yet another
zany multiplayer party game with a gimmick.
But it seems a bit more like a cross between Bomberman and something like Nine Parchments or another isometric action game. Visually, it's a black and white cartoon with splashes of color similar to Spench, which I loved, and it claims to have equal parts solo campaign and
zany multiplayer party game.
I don't know. I'm just not sure what to think about you, Ponpu. But everyone seems excited for Empire of Sin, the new game that lets you live out your dreams of being a 1920s Chicagoland mob boss. Nintendo has shown this game off in 2 Indie World presentations, both times giving it a decent block of coverage. It's developed by Romero Games, who doesn't have a great track record, but the publisher, Paradox Interactive, does have a decent catalog. It's a big name for sure, but let's wait for reviews before spending $40 for Empire of Sin on December 1st. On December 2nd, Sam & Max Save the World drops for $19.99, and point-and-click adventure fans should take note because this is a remaster of the first season from Telltale's series. It's published by Scoon Cape Games, who I've never heard of, but barring them botching the remaster, this is a hilarious, super fun, and high-quality point-and-click adventure worth checking out. The same day, we can steer clear of Kairosoft's mobile port Biz Builder Deluxe, which is $14 and misspelled 2 of the 3 names in its title. But the last title, releasing Wednesday, December 2nd, is supposedly amazing, and that's Shiren The Wanderer, The Tower of Fortune and the Dice of Fate. Can't wait to see that one in the video's text box. It releases by way of Spike Chunsoft for $19.99. It's a never-ending roguelike action RPG that I only know about because I've heard Jared Petty of former IGN fame rave about the series for years now. The original version on PlayStation Vita got pretty great reviews on Metacritic, and I might be picking it up myself because, you know, I'm always down for a 16-bit action RPG, especially when it includes procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements. This week, the Big Thursday drop features 15 new releases, and my apologies in advance because we've got some hotly anticipated titles, including the adorable puzzle adventure starring a dog with 2 heads and no butt called Fogs. Bitloom Games and CodeSync Software have been showing this game off at conventions for years now, and it's always gotten a positive reception. I know a lot of people are looking forward to this weird physics-driven adventure that's built for 2 players. If you want to get in on the weird, colorful action, it'll cost you $24.99. And I swear, we've had a game with the word Outbreak in the title for the last 5 weeks in a row now. This week, Dead Drop Studios has Outbreak, the new nightmare. This one is straight-up classic Resident Evil with a fresh coat of paint, and that seems like a good thing. You can play it in split-screen co-op or solo, and it releases on sale for $11.04. Onira Crimes employs a voxel art style that doesn't only look like a darker, more serious version of The Tourist, but it seems to play like one too. Skolmos Entertainment and Badland Publishing mix visual novel storytelling with adventure game mechanics to tell this detective story, which you can witness unfold for $19.99. We haven't had a classic vertically scrolling shoot-'em-up yet this week, but Sibsis Hearts hopes to fill that void. Unfortunately, it doesn't look very good, and I've yet to be impressed by the gang at
Turnox!
So I think it's best to save your $4.99. Now what the hell is this? Gunpig, Firepower for Hire. Wow. This is one of the most generic budget twin-stick shooters we've seen in a while. It seems to have some exploration, but again, I've yet to be blown away by anything from Flynn's Arcade, and really, it should have been Naken that published this one. You know, 'cause Naken rhymes with bacon. Anyways, that's another $5 that you can probably hold on to. Absolute Drift Zen Edition clarifies that drifting is
The art of sliding sideways.
Thanks for that, guys. It's a top-down driving game that could be a cool way to approach that short, perfect run platforming style, but in a different genre. Kinda like how Ollie Ollie did it with skateboarding. I can't say I've heard of the developer before, Fun Selector Labs, which is spelled in a way that I initially thought it said Fun Skeletor, which would have been way cooler.
You're very clever.
I don't know. $9.59 seems like too much for this one, but maybe put it on your wish list. Now, you might solve a mystery or rewrite history in Death Tales. Death Tales is a side-scrolling platformer with a vibrant art style and a grim premise revolving around a new Grim Reaper, but it looks pretty janky. There's support for 2 players, and it has some light RPG mechanics to help keep things interesting, but Arcade Distillery is asking $9.99 for it, and I could see the reviews going bad or good for Death Tales. Woo! Liberated is a film noir game that uses a graphic novel to tell its story, alongside multiple side-scrolling action gameplay styles, and it was our pick of the week a few months back. This week, Atomic Wolf and Walkabout Games re-releases the game with added DLC called Liberated Enhanced Edition, and it launches on sale for $15.99. Quiplash 2 is my favorite entry in the Jackbox series, and it's been re-released by Jackbox Games with over 400 new prompts in French, Italian, German, and Spanish for $9.99 called Quiplash 2 International Edition. Clever. Fault Milestone 2 Side Above is a mouthful that translates into the second entry in an anime visual novel series by
Alice in Dissonance
and Phoenix, because it's got 2 X's. You're probably not interested in this one unless you've played the first, but it seems like a cool sci-fi story, and it releases on December 3rd for $14.99. So I had to Google a bunch of terms, but the first sentence in Still Running's description for their new title, Morbid: The Seven Acolytes, is pretty helpful.
Morbid: The Seven Acolytes is a horror punk action RPG filled with Lovecraftian horrors and Cronenbergian gore, making it the most gruesome take on the isometric Souls-like genre yet.
And, yeah. It's really gross. There are brains and whale guts and monsters made entirely of intestines, so that's nasty, but the gameplay looks fun. I'm inclined to think this could be a solid pick, as it's also published by Merge Games, but I don't know. The last Merge Games title that I spent $25 on was Bounty Battle, and I still to this day wake up drenched in sweat because of that train wreck. I'm gonna tell you a story, and I might not use the right terminology, so please know that I mean no disrespect, and feel free to correct me in the comments if I screw something up, but I grew up in Texas, and one of my favorite things to do was to go to the Mexican flea markets and look through all of the off-brand ripoff toys. You had your L.I. Joes, the Teenage Ninja Mutant Lizards, Powerful Rangers, all that. It was great. Well, I think those store owners have upgraded this week because My World releases Baya Latino for $7.99, and it's just the off-brand version of Just Dance, but with Latin American music. Doggone Golfing is a 2D physics-driven golf game that releases on the 3rd by way of Vagabond Dog. It's like a low-budget version of What the Golf and comes loaded with dog puns for, wait for it, $6.69. Yeah. Apologies, I am an adult, I promise. And last up on the big Thursday drop is Wildfire, the 2D action puzzle platformer with a bunch of stealth and element-driven shenanigans by Humble Games for $14.99. It's the Switch port of a decently reviewed PC game, and might be a fit for those who like playing side-scrolling games with their thinking cap on. Rounding out the week on December 4th, we've got 6 more Nindies for you this week, starting with 9 Witches Family Disruption for $19.99. It's a pixelated narrative adventure that takes place during World War II in a small Norwegian town that is taken over by a dark magic spell. You play as a quadriplegic professor with brains to spare, and the game employs multiple playstyles alongside plenty of charm to make this a pretty attractive entry in the genre. 9 Witches Family Disruption comes to the Switch by way of Indisruption and Blowfish Studios. I'm not sure if this counts as a Nindie, but Commandos 2, the classic real-time tactical strategy game, got a remaster on the Switch from Yippee Entertainment and Calypso Media Group. The original was pretty fun, and the remaster looks as good as you would expect with a decent development budget, but it hits the eShop for $26.99, so I'd wait for a sale if this is one that you're interested in. Developer Simpleton and Ratalaika Games wants you to
fight for the freedom to not wear pants
in their arcade brawler Paw Paw Paw, which releases for $9.99. This is one of the pricier games from Ratalaika, and while it could be fun, I'm just not too impressed with the art style that screams
cheap mobile game.
In a sea of excellent multiplayer brawlers, I'm not sure this is one where you should spend your $10. If you want me to check it out on this week's stream though, let me know. Oh yay, Hook Games is back. What janky-ass take on board games do they have this week? Futoshiki Math, huh? So it's apparently Sudoku with some math? And it's $3. Next! Ah, here's a big one. Mike Bithell, developer of games like Thomas Was Alone and Volume, finally brings John Wick Hex to the Switch this week, and this game is a ton of fun. It uses a cel-shaded art style for a more comic book look that works really well, and it plays out as an isometric strategy game. That might not sound fun, but you basically plan out all of your moves and then watch John Wick do all of his John Wickery, and it's always really cool to watch it play out. If you're a John Wick superfan or you like turn-based strategy, consider checking out John Wick Hex when it releases for $19.99. And finally this week, Dragius Games has a steampunk-driven tower defense game called Steampunk Tower 2, which releases for $9.99. I usually enjoy Dragius titles, and this one looks like fun, but I think I'll wait for a sale or further impressions because it seems a bit expensive given the simplistic gameplay and visuals. Wow, that's a great week, huh? How's your Black Friday backlog feeling now? John Wick Hex, Fogs, Empire of Sin, Outbreak, there's a lot of quality in this week's lineup. Let me know if any of these indies tickle your fancy in the comments below or on Twitter at Nindie Nation. Now, we just had a massive Black Friday video which included 96 games on sale, and while most of those deals expire on December 3rd, many of them continue for another week or so. If you're looking for the best deals of the year, go check out the Black Friday video. Otherwise, we still have a few sales that popped up since then, so to wrap up the week, let's check out 7 of the best eShop deals available through at least December 4th. Two fairly new Nindie trifectas just went on sale this week, and I think they're both awesome. They're both colorful, addictive, have a ton of content, and are both 20% off for $15.99 each. Going Under is a game I played on stream a while back if you want to check out that video, and this action-packed dungeon crawler contains some of the best, funniest writing I've seen in a long time. If you've ever worked for a tech company or you like the humor of shows like Silicon Valley, you'll probably love Going Under. The other is Neon Abyss, which doesn't carry the same level of humor, but it takes a similar gameplay approach and does it as a 2D side-scrolling twin-stick shooter. It doesn't use the same perspective, but gameplay and overall feel? I think Neon Abyss feels a lot like Enter the Gungeon. Both games are $16, they're both highly recommended, and they both include procedurally generated levels with roguelike mechanics and RPG elements. If you're feeling grim and dark, another roguelike that is specifically brought up in our YouTube comments a lot is Blasphemous, the gory Lovecraftian exploration platformer that plays like a 2D Dark Souls, punishing difficulty and all. If your mouth is watering just hearing that description, you can pick it up this week while it's half off for just $12.49. And on the completely opposite end of that spectrum, Yooka-Laylee is back on sale at its super lowest price ever of $9.99, which is 75% off. I'm assuming most of the people who were really into Banjo-Kazooie or Donkey Kong 64 have already played this, but if you like 3D mascot platformers, you owe it to yourself to try out Yooka-Laylee while it's so cheap. A Short Hike is a pretty new release from this past summer and has been described as a relaxing, go anywhere, do anything type of game with an interesting story and satisfying mechanics as you explore and fly your way around a mountain as a cute little bird. A Short Hike is only 15% off this week, but at $6.79 it could be a great, calming palate cleanser in between all of the holiday chaos. The next and last two games this week both fit that niche of the single-run score-chasing action titles, where you're just starting over from the beginning and seeing how far you can make it with each run. Grood is a recently released side-scrolling shooter that I also played on stream a while back, and I had a lot of fun with it. It's got a cool art style, and while it took me forever to make any real progress with it, I found that it's really fun to overcome the challenge, and it gets easier every time you do it. Grood is half off for $2.49. And in that same super hard but it's so satisfying when you nail it category, Akane is a top-down hack and slash that I think is best described as playing out the Battle of the Crazy 88s from Kill Bill, minus the eye gouging. And I'm not gonna lie, I just stopped writing out the show notes just to watch that scene, and man, I gotta watch that movie again. Anyways, Akane is one of those great because it's cheap games, and right now it's 60% off for $1.99. What do you think? If you're picking any of these games up, let me know in the YouTube comments or on Twitter at Nindie Nation. A quick note of thanks to all of you who watched the Black Friday video. It doubled the highest views of any other video on this channel, and that was really exciting to see. And to all of you who watched that video and are checking out your first episode of Nindie Nation, thanks for coming back. If you liked what you saw today, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. On Thursday, we'll be streaming some Nindies starting at 10 p.m. Eastern during what we call Nindies at Night, and on most Fridays we do a quick deals video before the weekend, but we'll have to see if there's enough new deals for that video this week. As always, this show hits YouTube on Tuesday, and the podcast feed is hosted by our friends at the Nintendo Village. So if you're looking for any more great Nintendo content, go check out their YouTube channel or head on over to their website for daily articles, reviews, and more at thenintendovillage.com. Next week is already looking solid with a couple of highly anticipated indies like Ghost Runner. It'll be interesting to see if that game can actually run on the Switch. And then the rest of the year has a ton of games with the entire Bit Trip collection releasing on Christmas Day. I can't wait for that. But that's all for later, friends, and we're all done for this week. I hope to see you for other shows later this week. In the meantime, on Twitter, and back here again next week for episode 94. Until then, I'm Jeff. This has been Nindie Nation episode 93. And remember, no matter what kind of game you're looking for, Nindie Nation will be right here to help you find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced.